Welcome to the Tumblr Man video. Together, we will dissect this specimen, the man. Hello friends, and welcome back to a very serious, educational video. Today we will be delving into my homemade Tumblr Sexyman Iceberg meme. I've seen one that somebody else made going around already, and I could sit here and dissect that one for you, but I disagree with that one. They don't even put Loki on it until like the third or fourth tier when he is obviously one of the most entry-level Tumblr sexy men. These days there's like a whole Tumblr sexy man wiki, although I have my beef with that too. It seems like they'll put pretty much any character on there so long as someone can make an argument that they fit the general tropes of a Tumblr sexy man, not necessarily requiring any real examples of people being horny for that character in the wild. This is my introduction to the video. Everyone else is wrong. I am right. I'm going to teach you about Tumblr sexy men in descending order from most normie to most insane via the Iceberg meme as a vessel. But what maketh the Tumblr sexy man? They're generally like morally gray, villainous, or anti-hero kind of bad boy forbidden types. They're usually either young twinks or father figures. Despite my beef with the Tumblr Sexy Man wiki, it is an excellent source for the tropes that tend to recur in Tumblr Sexy Men. Angst, Chaos Lord, criminal, subset of that being con artist, DILF and or GILF, dominating, eldritch, father figure, gay and or questionable LGBT rep. Most often it's questionably LGBT rep. Intelligence, John Locked, which is of course when two characters are shipped extensively by fans despite the pairing not being canon or even present in the original work. Mysterious, non-human, well-dressed, and of course white. The whiteness of Tumblr sexy men really is quite glaring. Another really helpful definition I found on the Wikipedia page for Tumblr sexy men was that it's kind of like when a character just breaches containment of their own fandom and becomes a fandom unto themselves. Which is definitely the case with a lot of the more popular Tumblr sexy men. It ceases to be about the piece of media that they're from and is a fandom entirely just dedicated to that character. There is also the interesting question of what about Tumblr sexy women? And I think there are definitely some female characters that capture the Tumblr sexy men spirit. I've seen people cite Olivia Octavius from the Spider-Verse movies, or Ursula, or the tall Resident Evil lady with the hat. Oh, I forget her name. Personally, I would like to propose Ann Lister from the Gentleman Jack show. I think she's a great Tumblr sexy man or sexy woman. Why can't we just make Tumblr sexy man a gender-neutral term? Tumblr sexy women or female characters that fit that kind of trope are few and far between and never seem to reach the level of fame as their male counterparts, so I will be omitting them for this video. Final thing, obviously my iceberg is not going to include every Tumblr sexy man ever. I think I've included all of the types of Tumblr sexy men, so if you can think of one that's not on my iceberg, you can probably infer which tier of my iceberg it would at least be on. So that's the goal. But first, I've got to tell you a little bit about this video's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers all kinds of creative and educational classes and gives you the opportunity to connect with like-minded creators. If you have a specific skill that you're trying to learn, Skillshare is a really helpful place to start. I know when I first was looking into how to produce my YouTube merch, I went to Skillshare and it was really helpful. Kristen has been getting into woodworking, which has been really helpful for all of our home DIY projects. She made me some new bookshelves, which, might I say, is the height of gay romance. However, one of my favorite courses that I've ever come across on Skillshare is indoor gardening, taught by Ekta Chaudhry. It's all about growing plants, herbs, and vegetables in small indoor spaces like apartments, which is not only fun, but very fulfilling when you get to be like, yeah, I grew this spinach in my 10th floor condo. You want some salad? Skillshare is super easy to use. The classes are really engaging. All of the instructors are super interesting people who are experts in what they're teaching. So go check it out. The first 1,000 people to use my link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Go do it. Try out a new hobby, something creative. I don't know. Level number 1 of my iceberg is called The Normies. And the first one in it is Loki. We're talking about specifically Tom Hiddleston MCU Loki. He had just a massive fandom back in the day. It was inescapable on Tumblr. He is still the first thing that I think of when I think of Tumblr sexy man culture. That character in whatever early Marvel movies he was in was just the perfect combination of like chaotic villain but quirky and witty, and you're supposed to like him, and maybe he's like a little bit sickly and pale too. You know, you could fix him, or you could make him worse. You could put him in a terrarium and hand feed him lettuce like a turtle. You could trap him in a Pringles can and shake him. Do you understand? He's the kind of character we would probably call a blorbo now. Arguably the grown-up version of the Tumblr sexy man. Sherlock Holmes, specifically Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes. He was edgy, he was angsty, he had a weird facial structure, he had smart boy powers. A big part of his appeal was also tied to the John Locke pairing. The fandoms around Tumblr Sexyman always involved fans shipping themselves with the characters, or shipping the characters with another male character. There's never female characters involved. All of the female characters from these pieces of media die. The Doctor. I think specifically David Tennant and Matt Smith's Doctors. It's the British, it's the dumb outfits, the general goofiness, smart boy TM powers. He's not a perfect example though. I mean, he doesn't really check off the moral ambiguity. There was also a decent amount of support for the pairing of David Tennant's Doctor and Rose, which is very out of character for a Tumblr Sexyman, but I think they still count. It's the dumb outfits. Kylo Ren. He's edgy, he's evil, he's facial structure, we've been over this. He's a pretty recent one too, going back to only 2015, post-Tumblr Golden Age. The new Star Wars movies, I think, really awakened something that had almost gone dormant in a lot of the same people who were like really into Loki back in the day and stuff. Because Kylo Ren stans have a reputation for being a bit older, like late 20s, 30s, right? So I don't think his popularity was a younger generation discovering the Tumblr Sexyman archetype. I think this is the exact same people who were also doing this 10 years ago with different male characters. So Kylo Ren absolutely counts and is absolutely in the normie tier. Severus Snape. There's a lot to unpack with this one because the fixation on Snape as sexy or on Snape as like a fandom unto himself goes back before Tumblr easily. It goes back to like live journal communities around him. Snape wives. That was interesting, huh? Snape is like the grandfather of all of this. He's that guy. He's a little bit dark, he's a little bit nasty, he's a little bit weird, a little bit, why does his face do that? Not conventionally attractive, not like other men. Maybe like your dad though. But sexy? You could put him in a terrarium and hand feed him lettuce like a turtle. Do you see how there's a clear thread in the internet fandom consciousness between Severus Snape in the early 2000s to like Kylo Ren a couple of years ago? Like it's connected. I've connected it. I also debated putting the supernatural boys in this first tier, especially Dean because he's a little bit edgy. I mean, you would think they would fit in with this crowd. You got to complete the super Hulock triad, but they don't. They don't fit in. They're not Tumblr Sexymen. And I think this is a very good opportunity to perfect our definition of Tumblr Sexymen. The supernatural boys are just too normal. They still look like this and are very clearly the heroes of the show. Where's the goofiness? Where's the questionable fashion? The unapologetic, morally depraved behavior? Like, okay, this guy's a psychic demon hunter who shoots gun, whatever. Where is the flair? This is every American small town sports bro you've ever seen. Tumblr Sexymen. Not Tumblr Sexymen. Do we understand? Moving on to level 2 of my iceberg, this one is titled Ugh, we know. We are exiting the realm of well-known white man actor in stupid outfit and entering a level that is equally as well-known in certain circles, but more depraved by mainstream standards. We're gonna start with the most normal one that I put in this tier just to get it out of the way. Hannibal Lecter. 98% of the time we're talking about Mads Mikkelsen Hannibal from the TV show, but there's some Anthony Hopkins Hannibal appreciation out there as well, don't get me wrong. He is in this tier because he's slightly lesser known than the other normal man looking ones, and also even more of an acquired taste, I would say. Hannibal as a character is like way more of a creature than any of those other guys. And the show Hannibal was huge on Tumblr back in the day. I feel like I've said that so many times already, but it was like Super Hulock's slightly lesser known cousin that just never got a chance to join up with the big boys for whatever reason. By the time Hannibal came along, the Tumblr sexy man archetype was well established. It was just gonna happen to him. He's a Tumblr sexy man. Moving on, without further ado, the Onceler. The Onceler hit Tumblr like a bomb. No one was ready for what happened to the Onceler, and it gave birth to a whole new type of Tumblr sexy man culture. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this does not hold earth-shattering sex appeal to most people, but the stars had just aligned in a way that it did on Tumblr. He's a twinky white guy in a dumb outfit, morally questionable, edgy, sassy. He was Tumblr's type, and they got creative about it. Lacking other male characters within the Lorax movie to ship him with, they created Oncest, shipping the Onceler with himself, or versions of himself. I think a lot of the time it was like normal Onceler shipped with green suit Onceler. But people got into creating these endless personal Onceler AUs and creating role-playing blogs for their Onceler AUs. And there was this really huge Onceler fandom, mostly sustained by these role-playing blogs of versions of the Onceler that people created. What happened with the Onceler in 2012 never quite happened again on that scale, but it did irreparable damage to Tumblr and Tumblr Sexyman culture. Sans is a character from the game Undertale, and like the Onceler before him, Sans' Sexyman status has a lot more to do with fanon interpretation than the game's canon. Yes, Sancest is a thing, if you were wondering. Only in this case, fandom's redesign of the character was a lot more extensive, making his proportions more human, or sometimes straight up making him into a human, writing his personality as that edgy, sexy man type, which apparently doesn't have a lot of basis in the game. I've never played it, but alright, okay, so people want to get with the skeleton now. But what if I told you people wanting to get with the skeleton is nothing new? Jack Skellington for the Iceberg. Nightmare Before Christmas came out in 1993, but was very popular among like the 2010 to 2014 edgy emo aesthetic Tumblr. You could, and I think still can, find the merch all over Hot Topic. For that reason, I've seen Jack Skellington referred to as the first Tumblr sexy man a few times, and I don't think that's true. I think that's still probably Snape, but Jack Skellington is probably the first non-human Tumblr sexy man. So combine whatever the Onceler has going on with whatever Jack Skellington has going on, and you get Sans. And now that you have Sans, you can go even further. Bill Cipher. Bill Cipher is the villain of animated children's show Gravity Falls. Depraved Tumblr weirdos want to make out with this triangle. I'm just kidding, they invented a human twink version of this triangle. They saw a completely impossible to sexualize character, a triangle from a children's show, with the villainous but lovable personality type that they're usually into, so they redesigned the entire character to be hot. There is just endless fan art, fan blogs, fan fiction, roleplay blogs dedicated to sexy twink Bill Cipher, a character that is pretty much entirely the invention of Tumblr. In fact, sexy twink Bill Cipher has become so widespread that the creator of Gravity Falls responded to it with confusion, naturally, and drew his own canonical human Bill Cipher, which is just this horrific, grotesque triangle man. Level 3 of my Iceberg is called, We Should Have Known. These are Tumblr sexy men that I think make a lot of sense when you hear about them. Just knowing the tropes of the Tumblr sexy men, you hear these and you're like, ugh, of course. But they were smaller scale, they never really managed to breach containment of their own fandoms, so you probably haven't heard about them. Wheatley from the game Portal 2. He's British, he's morally dubious, he's beloved by the fandom, and often drawn or written about in a human form that could be sexualized. You see him on a lot of Tumblr sexy man lists. I think people like to put him on their Tumblr sexy man lists just for the shock value of weirdos think this is hot. When it's characters like this, it's always, there's a human version attached. Nobody's like, wow, that orb's got it going on. But as I was saying a second ago, you see him on a lot of Tumblr sexy man lists, but I think that's deceiving. Wheatley's popularity came before the Great Onceler Apocalypse, and therefore he never really got to thrive as a sexy man on the same level as a lot of these other ones. In reality, he was pretty contained by his fandom. Count Olaf. He's the grimy, lanky, creepy villain of a series of unfortunate events. Just a scrungly little guy, a little sewer rat of a man. You could put him in a terrarium and hand feed him lettuce like a turtle. Upon investigation, I can confirm for you that there is absolutely a subset of people really into Count Olaf. Both the Jim Carrey and the Neil Patrick Harris film iterations are certified sexy. Father. Father is the villain of the 2002 animated show Kids Next Door. I mean, if daddy issues are inherently linked with some Tumblr sexy men, then like, this is the ultimate incarnation of daddy issues. Just this image of him gives off such eldritch daddy issues being energy. Like, this one did not surprise me at all. The fandom seems to like the idea of redeeming him or contrasting his evilness with his actual soft side as a father figure. Patrick Bateman. Yes, there's a conventional white man actor this far down the list. However, the vibes of this one are completely different. The Patrick Bateman tag is filled with garbage. Not even funny garbage, like garbage. The vibe is somehow exactly the same as like Ted Bundy fan blogs, like the exact same type of crazies who start real life serial killer fandoms, just like forgot that Patrick Bateman was fictional. I swear it's the same people, because the vibe is exactly the same as serial killer fandoms. Robbie Rotten, he is the antagonist of the 2000s children's show Lazy Town. I mean, just like, look at this guy. For an added bonus, people also like to ship him with Sporticus, another Lazy Town character. I found lots of fan art of them individually and together. You people really will just look at any long white man and go, yeah, that guy should fuck. Level 4 of my iceberg is titled, I'm starting to think you people are just monster fuckers, to be honest. We are descending now from characters who are vague enough or something, some kind of a type enough that, like, you know they're gonna resonate with the right people, into characters who have no discernible sex appeal to anyone. And yet, Tony the Talking Clock. He is a character from the YouTube series Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. I will give some points here because the humanizations of Tony the Talking Clock that I've seen have actually been pretty diverse in looks and body types. However, given Tumblr, the twink humanizations are especially common, and within the fandom, he's even shipped with the sketchbook character from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. Their ship name was Padlock, and legend says that if you searched on Tumblr, you can still find relics of a lost age. Invader Zim. Invader Zim was very popular during the Tumblr Golden Age, merch all over Hot Topic, etc. In his Sexyman fandom interpretations, he is somewhat humanized. He's usually given more human proportions, but always keeps the alien face and head. Megamind. This is you people's dream man. Like, you don't even need to alter his proportions. It's just like extremely long man body and then just alien. And he's smooth. It's gotta be something to do with his smoothness. Megamind stands, can you confirm? Because I know you're out there. I've seen your Wattpad accounts. The Grinch. This one is hard to pin down, to be honest. It's hard to tell what's authentic simping for the Grinch and what's either self-fulfilling prophecy or memeing. When the character design for the 2018 Grinch movie dropped, Tumblr just collectively went, we can't do it again. He looks like the Onceler, essentially, and I guess some other Tumblr sexy men with that similar look, but to me, he just really looks like the Onceler. Plus, he was voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, who had his own history as a Tumblr sexy man already. Also, there was a hot minute where people were thirsting for the Grinch on Twitter because of this picture. I don't know if the Grinch is a real homegrown Tumblr sexy man. I think it's just that we all agree that he should be and keep pumping out satire about it, and it's confusing. I'm confused. I'm trying to sort through all of this, trying to find the authentic Grinch fuckers out there. I'm just a normal guy Googling sexy Grinch for science. So we're putting down the Grinch ? Because I keep hearing a lot about him, but I'm unsure. Descending to level 5 of my iceberg, level 5 is called What Happens Next Will Shock You. Raymond. So Raymond is this Animal Crossing cat. Raymond is by far the most recent example on this list, coming from only 2020, and he is not specific to Tumblr, so I guess there's a debate about whether he is authentically a Tumblr sexy man. However, I'm including him because he is widely regarded as some kind of a successor to Tumblr sexy man culture. He is a cat with hipster glasses and heterochromia, very original character, do not steal. Just the character design alone had a lot of people simping, plus his personality type in the game is smug, aka annoying little edgelord, very bisexual. A trend arose among players to dress him up in a maid outfit. I mean, look at him. He's asking to be objectified. Plus, he was apparently very difficult to get in the game, and players traded him for exorbitant prices. I remember this happening. It was just the inescapable Raymond craze of 2020. However, it did not last very long. As the Tumblr Sexy Man wiki says, he is now regarded as a pest and an e-boy by the average internet user. Waluigi. I'm just a normal guy Googling sexy Waluigi for perfectly good reasons. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not convinced that Tumblr originated this one. I think it appeals to the Tumblr scrungly, scrawny rat man, etc. And it certainly exists on Tumblr, but Waluigi's Tumblr sexy man status, to me, is tentative. Same class as the Grinch. Hamlet. This might be controversial. In fact, I think this will be controversial. I do think that the Hamlet fandom is classier about it, at least on the surface. But the amount of fanfiction which exists. You people cannot hide behind your artsy black and white dark academia edits. I know what this is. The aesthetic may be different, but at its core, Tumblr Sexyman. We have descended all the way to the 6th level of the iceberg. It's not even really the iceberg anymore, it's just the terrifying deep sea waters. This level is called Super Hell. You want to know who a Tumblr Sexyman is?
Yeah.
Kowalski. The penguin.
Oh.
From Penguins of Madagascar. I don't really know which penguin he is, to be honest.
Do you have a picture?
No. Wait, I could look one up. He's this one.
Okay.
I know this one sounds fake, but bear with me here, okay? So the Tumblr Sexyman wiki left some interesting breadcrumbs, hinting at this once extensive Penguins of Madagascar fandom that had sexified the penguins, and Kowalski specifically was the, like, edgy Tumblr Sexyman type character. And I was, in fact, able to find copious amounts of fanfiction and fan art, both of human versions of the penguins and just the penguins. And I'm left wondering just what happened here. I have become a Kowalski truther. I do, in fact, believe that there was once a thriving fandom built around heavily modified and horny versions of the Madagascar penguins. This is like coming across the ruins of a lost civilization in the forest. I have one final sexy man for my iceberg of all very sexy men. Jeff the Killer. You know what? I had my doubts about this one. That's on me, I guess, because it's real. And it's very edgy. It's similar, the most similar, I guess, in vibes to the Patrick Bateman fandom. It's very edgy. It's very, ooh, no, sweaty, you live like this. There is some sexy Jeff the Killer redesigns, or like, I guess, cuter, more human looking, as is the general trend, twink boy redesigns of Jeff the Killer. That's where this video is gonna end. That's what I have to leave you with to think about tonight. Thank you so much for watching this video, my friends. Let me know in the comments section down below who your favorite Tumblr sexy man is. Does not have to be one from my list. Can be one that I forgot or left out because maybe I think it's dumb. Maybe we can start some beef in the YouTube comments. That'll be fun. Like and subscribe. See you in another video very soon, my friends.